Hello everyone. Today we will discuss AWS Identity and Access Management, which is IAM. To host your workloads on AWS, it is necessary to create an AWS account. The account created by providing details such as email address, personal information, identity verification, a debit or credit card is referred to as an root account. The individual who accesses the root account is known as the root user. The root user will have unrestricted access to all AWS services, including billing, the payment details, and can change the password and other functions. It is important to note that access for the root user cannot be restricted. However, when it comes to managing access to an AWS account, AWS IAM plays a crucial role. Through IAM, we gain the ability to carefully govern the authentication and authorization of individuals seeking to utilize AWS services. For instance, consider a scenario where a team of professionals collaborates on an AWS project that relies on distinct AWS services. In this context, it becomes essential that users are granted solely to the services appropriate to their specific roles and responsibilities. This can be achieved by creating IAM users and assigning policies based on a specific requirement. Let's assume that the user 1 needs access to EC2 service. User 2 requires access to S3 service, and user 3 needs to work with RDS. In response, we can create 3 distinct IAM user accounts. It is important to note that these user accounts are not separate entities. They exist within the root AWS account. Each user account will have its own credentials for logging into AWS account and will operate in accordance with attached policies. In this scenario, we can assign the EC2 full access policy to the user 1, S3 full access policy to user 2, and grant user 3 full access to RDS. It is also possible to provide read-only access or customize the policies as needed. And these policies are in JSON format. Each IAM user is associated with one and only one AWS account because IAM users are defined within your AWS account. They don't need to have a payment method on file with AWS. AWS activity performed by IAM users in your account is billed to your account. To ensure a smoother way of handling lots of users, you can create IAM user groups. These groups help you set rules for many users at once, which can make managing their access simpler. Imagine you have a group named admins, where you give them the typical permissions of administrators. Any user within that group automatically inherits the permissions of the admins group. So when a new user joins your teams and need admin rights, just put them in the admins groups. Similarly, we can create multiple groups with different users. And if someone switches roles in your organization, instead of editing the individual permissions, you can remove them from the old group and add them to the appropriate new user groups. This keeps things organized and efficient. A user group can encompass multiple users, and an individual user can be a part of several user groups. And it is important to note that user groups cannot be organized in a nested fashion. They can solely include individual users, not other user groups.